You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Kris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore, this week brought to you by the Apocalypse. Josh, what's your opinion on the Apocalypse?
It's coming, but I'm not super worried about it. I'm not like a doomsday prepper, but I feel fairly confident in like the little bit of like outdoorsy bushcraft skills that I have. I hunt, I fish, I can make a shelter, I can make fire, and I know some basic first aid. So I think I'm ready for the apocalypse. If a zombie comes though, I'm toast.
What's your preferred apocalypse? Like there's a lot of apocalypses to choose from.
Ooh.
If one of them is going to happen, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Nuclear apocalypse. I like the Fallout aesthetic.
Okay.
And I like the idea of living in a bunker for like a long time, avoiding people.
That is my nightmare. Not just like the no people, but like living in a small confined space. I've been working from home a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's getting to me. I need to start like taking my work outside and touching grass occasionally.
I would do that if I could have a second monitor outside.
Fair. I don't love radiation.
Okay.
That's probably like the idea of dying of radiation sickness is more concerning to me than dying in like the initial blast of a nuclear apocalypse.
Right.
And starvation, also not a big one. Did you ever watch The Road?
Yeah, I did, actually. The
best movie I'm never watching again.
It's haunting, that's for sure.
It is so good. So incredibly good. Like, the cinematography is beautiful. The script is fantastic. The acting is wonderful. I'm never, ever watching it again.
So, my favorite version of that I can watch over and over is the Book of Eli.
Okay. I have not seen the Book of Eli.
Ooh, buddy, you need to watch the Book of Eli. First of all, Denzel doesn't make bad movies, period.
That's true.
Second of all, the writer of Book of Eli, Gary Whitta, was the editor-in-chief of PC Gamer magazine for quite a while. Okay. He's been out there just cranking out solid work for a while. And Book of Eli is like kind of brilliant and underappreciated.
So, yeah. I remember seeing trailers for it and not being particularly impressed. Like it looked biblical in a time where I wasn't super into that.
Okay.
Like it seemed like I already knew the book was the Bible.
Right. It's not exactly like a secret. Like it is. No, it's not. It's not a secret. The fact that it's a Bible is not a secret.
I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
So like going into it, knowing, like I don't know if it was supposed to be a twist, but like I wasn't really looking for a Jesus in my life at the time, or kind of ever.
And it's not. Like you need to understand that the Book of Eli is just like I don't want to say red herring, but it's just like the MacGuffin that he needs to carry to his destination.
Okay. See, because I was expecting that to take a very, like, biblical turn by the end of it. No. Y'all need Jesus before the apocalypse, or we're going to lose Jesus forever or some shit.
Nope.
And, like, that can't happen because Jesus is everywhere watching you shower.
Yeah, no, that is not... First of all, it's not the twist the book goes. Second of all, that's not the thrust of the movie. I guess if anything, the movie is trying to say that like preserving literature is important. But that
I can get behind that.
Yeah, that comes secondary to like seeing how, you know, people in that world have adapted to this post-apocalyptic scenario. It's got a lot of the vibes of The Road without being quite so bleak.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, my favorite terrible apocalypse movie is Waterworld.
Oh.
And my second favorite terrible apocalypse movie is The Postman, which I actually think is a better talking point.
I haven't seen The Postman. I've seen Waterworld. I was going to say,
Waterworld's good.
Waterworld is...
No, hold on. I like Waterworld. Waterworld's bad.
Oh, yeah. Those are two very different things.
Very different things. It is not a quality film.
No, Waterworld is fun
it.
in its own weird way. Yeah, I appreciate that it was doing a take on the apocalypse that hadn't been done before.
Yes. Did it succeed in its goals? I do not believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think that they necessarily told the tale that they were looking to tell.
Well, and the entire thrust of the movie was, what if Mad Max was on a boat? Like, that's the whole thing. Now
I really want... Okay. ADHD moment. I need Lonely Island to remake Waterworld.
Yeah.
Waterworld 2, done entirely Lonely Island style. Make it happen. Fucking Hollywood, call us. We will get on board with that project.
Actually,
I will play whatever bad guy you need me to play.
Do you want them writing it or just starring in it?
Yes.
Okay.
I want them to show up with a script that's terrible, and then fix that script as we're shooting.
Okay. Because I mean, I'm sorry, but your boy Gary has done a couple of post-apocalyptic movies, and the Book of Eli was great. After Earth was whatever. I mostly blame the faults of that on Shyamalan.
That came out of fucking nowhere. God damn. Oh, wow. I was expecting you to follow up Book of Eli with another quality apocalypse film. Holy shit.
Yeah. Although the next thing he did, Rogue One. So
Rogue One was good.
Yeah,
I keep trying to get my son to watch Rogue One, and he keeps refusing.
Why?
I don't know. I think he's a little Star Wars'd out right now.
What have you been watching that's Star Wars?
Well, we watched last year. We watched the entire original trilogy and prequel trilogy.
That's only 6 movies, and that was a year ago.
It wasn't a year ago. It was spaced out over the course of a year, but and I think he also watched The Mandalorian with his mom.
So he watched one movie every other month, and that was exhausting?
I think he's just kind of over it right now.
Sure.
We've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer instead. Speaking of apocalypses.
I will.
So that's been fun.
I will say, if you want to watch Star Wars that doesn't feel too Star Warsy, Andor is great and leads into Rogue One.
I have heard that Andor seasons 1 and 2 and Rogue One are the prequel series that we should have had.
Yeah. They are incredible. The season 2 was just next level good.
I haven't finished season 1 yet.
Okay.
I started season 1 and was this feels like an investment. I'm actually going to have to sit down and pay attention to this.
Yeah. Where it's not a background show. Yeah, you can put Mandalorian on in the background and you're oh, now he's hunting a dragon or whatever. But you cannot do that with Andor.
I had just gotten off of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Where I was in it for the lightsaber fights and literally nothing else. Because I didn't watch the animated series that it's based on. So I had no idea who half of these characters were and was not invested at all. But yeah, coming off of that and trying to jump right into Andor was a big tonal shift.
Definitely. That's definitely a harsh 180. I will say I have not enjoyed Ahsoka except for what's his name?
Hayden Christensen?
No. I mean, he's fine. The other Sithy type guy.
Skull.
Yeah.
The guy with the good beard game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy...
He's getting replaced by the Hound.
Yeah, which, like, I love that actor, but, like, he's no replacement for Ray Stevenson. That's for sure.
No. And I wonder what his approach to that character is going to be.
Yeah. I will say, like, those two guys can, like, at least the Hound's, like, fighting style will be pretty close to what they were doing with Balin. Because I liked the, like, in a lot of ways, he very much was, like, a knight in the way that he fought. So that'll be cool, but, like, I don't really trust that series with much of anything, so...
Yeah. I really liked the scenes specifically with Anakin.
Yeah.
Mostly because I felt like they showed Hayden Christensen's ability and understanding in that character.
Yeah.
Like, watching him go from the incredibly acrobatic, beautiful choreography of the, like, prequel trilogy to, like, slowly turning into the hacky, choppy, like, I'm just here to beat you down with my lightsaber and my pure strength style of the original trilogy. Was just fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful character work from Hayden Christensen. And then the rest of the series was so fucking bad. It's really painful to get through.
I've started watching that what's the stupid Obi-Wan series just to see little glimpses of Anakin, because, like, having seen, like, behind the scenes stuff of how he's understanding the transformation into, like, dismissive contempt for, like, he's so good at what he does that he just is not going to put in the effort to show you how good he is because he doesn't have to, and he can literally swat you aside like a child.
Yeah. And some of the, like, all of the scenes that involved Vader in Obi-Wan were pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, like how far are you in it?
Like 1-2 episodes.
Okay. I don't recall where exactly it happens in the series, but the first interaction between the two of them, where, like, Vader is chasing Obi-Wan down. I mean, I say chasing, but really he's just, like, stalking him like a horror villain through, like, using mist and obfuscation to his benefit.
He's Mike Myers
again. Again, just fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And the final fight between the two of them is, like, clip-worthy all by itself.
Yeah.
Definitely a highlight. And again, the rest of that series was unfortunately really bad.
Yeah.
That chase scene from the first episode where Leia ducks under a tree and everyone else loses their goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Was just like, I know exactly what I'm getting into now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Anyway, this isn't what we were supposed to be talking about.
We're supposed to be talking about finishing things, which is hilarious because we barely finished a thought this whole time.
We haven't even started this episode. What the fuck?
We're incredible at this. Yeah.
We're so good at podcasting. Okay. My apologies to the 6 people that listen to us.
Okay, finishing a campaign.
Finishing a campaign.
I'm pretty sure I'm...
Have you done it?
No, I was going to say I'm about to, like... I'm about to pop my campaign finishing cherry. Like, I have played this game for... What?
Beauty.
Yeah, I have played this game for a long time, through a couple of editions now, and every single group that I have been in has fallen apart for various reasons and not actually finished anything. And, like, the group I'm in now, God, we're so close. We only need, like, a few more sessions, and it's going to be July when we play again.
Oh my God.
Scheduling is a nightmare. And it's all my fault. I know it's my fault, but, you know, I'm working on it. But yeah, we are finally about to do it. And I'm so excited. Now, that being said, like, you know, I am not counting, like, we've done a couple, I wouldn't call them, like, one shots, but, like, 1.5 shots, you know, where you, like, have a couple days of it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't count. I mean, like, a full-blown campaign. This is our first one. how...
What's the shortest, like, full campaign have you done?
What's that?
Oh, I guess you were saying that you haven't actually finished one. Because, like, I've done, like, full campaigns over the course of a month.
Yeah.
Like, would you consider that having an ending, or would that be, like, still in the, like, shot range? Not one shot, but something shot.
Did you complete the full narrative arc that you were intending to?
Yes.
Then yeah, it's done. Like,
okay.
Some people just get stuff done faster. Like, frankly, most of my stuff happens like once a month, or at most twice a month. So,
because I did have a couple of campaigns where, especially when I was like younger and had no responsibilities, where we would play a couple times a week.
Yeah,
and it was pretty easy to bang out a narrative over the course of that, especially when everybody had the understanding that it was a shorter term game.
Yeah.
And that kind of lends itself to epic endings if everybody knows that it's going to be over, because like nobody's holding back.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody is going for the gusto, and if they happen to die a session early, well then now they get to be the rallying point for the big hurrah, right?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I've had a few of those. I have a tendency to wander away from games and then never come back.
Oh no.
I have a whole lot of half-finished narratives out there that are still spinning in my head for like when we're going to do our next session for people that I haven't spoken to in 15 years. So that's definitely more of my long-term campaigns. I don't recall the last time I finished like a multi-month campaign.
Right. Yeah, like I've had campaigns go on for years that didn't finish, you know?
I think that's mostly the norm.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be investing years into a thing, I think, like, okay, part of it is the understanding that D&D and role-playing games in general are open-ended.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't have a set end point. They don't have an end goal that you're going for that isn't, like, defined by the game itself.
Right.
Like, obviously, if you guys have the goal of, like, take down the Dragon Lich King, and then you take down the Dragon Lich King, then you could probably have a session after that where everybody's like, okay, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah.
But you don't have to, right? Like, that game can be done, but it's all within the game itself. And so, like, D&D, you can play forever. Like, I've talked to people who had campaigns that lasted decades.
Yeah.
Right, like they were all level cap. They were all sitting at like 20th level, but they would still show up every week on the regular, snacks in hand, ready to play.
Yeah.
And it's usually like, I don't know how much of this is just like stereotyping or whatever, but like every time I've met somebody who has a game like that, they're always an older gentleman who dresses up for his games.
Yeah.
Every time. Not every time. The vast majority of the times. It's been a gentleman of a certain age who is not afraid to dress like an elf on Saturdays.
Right. Like I've seen...
So yeah, like there is...
I was going to say, I've seen a couple of like little mini documentaries about like some of these long-standing games. And it really does feel like it all comes down to like one person who's just willing to keep this narrative going for themselves and force a bunch of people into it, and it doesn't mind swapping them in and out.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, but then you've also got like the games that have been running since the 70s, right? Like they're still playing it mostly as a war game, and like they've been playing since Gary Gygax graced their table that one time,
right?
So like there's that aspect to it, and so I think that like there's a cultural expectation in role playing games that they just generally don't end.
I guess. Like, here's what I think. I genuinely feel like those groups just never had the opportunity to discover like Magic the Gathering. Like, No, here's what I mean.
Okay.
Maybe not specifically Magic the Gathering, but often specifically Magic the Gathering. They needed an excuse to socialize with their nerd friends on a weekly basis. And Dungeons and Dragons happened to be the thing that allowed them to do that with like minimal load on the rest of their lives. So like their significant others and families could tolerate, hey, dad's going out one night a week to hang out with his buddies. At least he's not drunk. Right. He might be drunk. He's probably not drunk. But it was his social time. And so like the role playing itself was secondary in a lot of ways, but there was like one guy in the group who's like, hey, what if we just like essentially talked about Lord of the Rings for 30 years?
Yeah. I definitely think that's part of it, but like also I think that just the open-ended nature of the game promotes the idea that you can just keep playing, and so most of the groups that I've talked to have the expectation that they're just going to keep playing forever.
Yeah.
Or until everybody gets tired of it and stops playing, which is what usually happens. But when you've got, like, I think a large part of that just comes down to your campaign doesn't have established goals.
Right. But
right. And like,
I think that's what I'm saying, is that like the goal has been established outside of the game that keeps the group together. Right. Like the goal is to hang out with my friends, and then the game is secondary. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that like in this era of like, online D&D playing and like digital tabletops and stuff like that, the game itself is not a strong enough glue to hold a group together.
Well, and that's interesting too, because the way that actual play entertainment is structured is very narrative. Right. Like the Critical Role crew has a beginning and ending, middle and an ending, kind of established through both like Mercer's DMing and through I feel probably some discussion with the group, right, like regarding their own character arcs and like what they're hoping to accomplish and like the beats that they kind of want to try and hit. Just like my understanding of that style of DMing is very collaborative, right? And so like you want to make sure that you're talking to your players and being like, okay, so we're gonna have your incredibly sophisticated aristocrat character trudge through sewers for this entire campaign, right? And you're like, well, cool. I was kind of hoping to do something aristocrat-y, and you're like, nope, just sewers forever. So like having those narrative concepts kind of around the hobby, or at least like around the entertainment product that they're putting together, encourages an ending. Right. Well, it encourages goal setting early on, and then it also encourages the idea that it's going to have like a satisfying conclusion.
Now that I like sit back and examine like your specific example and the idea of like how this game is functioning as a whole, like it feels like there's been, and I don't want to specifically blame like live D&D or whatever, but there's been a shift in the players' expectations from like, hey, I am gonna like inhabit a character and like build this world with you and be a living part of this story, to like, I want to show up and be entertained by the DM. There's less like that's individual ownership of creating the experience for everybody.
I've definitely seen some of that, but a lot more of what I see is an attempt to be like the people that they are emulating, right? Like they're wanting to recreate the Critical Role or D20 environment in the games, and so you get like I get a lot more people acting bombastic and like going for big swings, or doing bits. God, the bits.
No, but like even
the bits are out of control.
Even those actions, like the bombacity, the bits, are like kind of inherently selfish in the context of the group. Like they want to be somewhat entertaining and be appreciated for that without understanding like the subtleties that need to go into building a world or building a narrative. Like a bit is not really narrative, you know. It's just it's a YouTube short essentially, right?
Yeah.
And
it's a Monty Python quote.
Yeah, and that's what like a lot of groups are devolving into right now, is like really caricaturized role playing, where it's like, hey, my character is defined by like one or two things and never shall that change. And I think they don't realize like how much, you know, if they look at the characters in Critical Role for as an example, like as much as I don't really watch the show, I have seen stuff and I do understand how they grow and develop as a character, well, as a person at the table. And that's because, you know, these people's full-time job is to work in conjunction with a writer to write a story. And so they think about character development and character arcs as part of their overall larger fetch quest or whatever. And like the average person just doesn't have the time to do that, you know? Or the person that does is like probably hiding some other social ineptitude.
Well, they're also professional performers.
Well, yeah.
Right. And I think one of the aspects of that I think kind of gets lost in translation is the idea of character work.
Yeah.
Right. Like figuring out who your character is, figuring out your motivations, inhabiting your character, becoming your character through like convergent feeling and like embodying character and like physical tics and all of the things that we see actors get trained to do through classic acting. Translates differently at a table, but it's still evident.
Right.
Like you can watch Sam Riegel go through like very established character actor decision making on a fairly regular basis. And like one of the things to his credit that he's doing incredibly well is that he is improvising that on the spot.
Right.
But it's still trained and it still has like that background in the thing. And so I feel like attempting to emulate the Critical Role D20 cruise, also like shout out to Dungeons and Daddies and like NADPOD and all the other ones, but like the thing that I'm seeing, I think the thing that I see the most where it applies to narrative is that the focus of the players has shifted from let's play these characters in these silly situations forever, right? Like we're just going to show up, we're going to play, we're going to have some fun, throw some dice, to having a much greater focus on narrative and a greater expectation for a narrative, which again encourages the possibility of conclusion and ending.
Right.
And so like I feel like over the course of the last like 15, 20 years, the ending of a campaign has actually grown quite a bit in its importance as far as its like placement in the campaign is concerned.
So then why do we never get to them? Is it literally just because like our lives are so fractured at this point that like it's just about impossible to maintain continuity for more than like a couple of years? Or like is there
dude, being an adult is so hard.
It's true. It's true. I mean,
it's so hard to be an adult.
I was going to say, God, like, compared to like the 70s and 80s, like there are so many more things vying for our attention. And I was going to say, like, I think part of the problem with like the characters themselves, and then more so like the conclusion of this campaign, is that we have less ability to focus on one thing in our lives than ever before. And there's, you know, and that's even with like within people who have like a pretty narrowly defined range of hobbies. Even within like the nerd space, like, you play Dungeons and Dragons, but then everyone else who knows is like, oh, do you also play Magic? Have you also dabbled in like miniatures or tabletop games? Do you play board games? Like, and no one is just like one thing anymore. And I think that has sort of like diluted our capacity to really invest our creative energy in characters and then ultimately in the storytelling and the conclusion of those stories. I mean, there's if you could get the dopamine hit that you need from like any number of sources, why invest in one for a bigger payoff when you can just get a bunch of little payoffs constantly? YouTube Shorts.
And in the spirit of this like entire thing, and like in the spirit of endings, that's where I'm going to end it. And I'm actually going to include this, including the stumble and this ramble that I'm doing afterwards, in the podcast, because I don't fucking know how to do an ending.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum.
Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot, Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.